Aloha to everybody. So right now in Hawaii, it is still Monday. It is Monday at 4 p.m. So soon you will learn to adjust to this time. We're kind of the last in the time zones of the world. So we're kind of the last group still experiencing Monday afternoon. So you'll soon become accustomed to that as well. But my main purpose today is just to let you know more about the fellow projects, answer any questions you have. I really appreciate I got a really good response. I got 70 responses from the survey that I sent out, so that's excellent. Thank you so much for filling that out. I am going to also ask that you save your questions until the end, just because I can't see the questions when I'm presenting, so it's best to save everything towards the end. I saw the questions that you submitted, and I have several of them on here as well to present. So please save the questions to the end unless it's something that you feel is urgent, then you can raise your hand. But just give me a moment and I'm going to pull up my presentation. So this is all about fellow projects. You have received some initial information about it. So a lot of you had a lot of excellent questions. So I just want to make sure everything is really clear before you come here, so that once you get here, you can work to develop a really strong project. Before we start, I wanted to give you a little bit of background about who I am. So my name is Dr. Andrea Mulgy. I joined APCSS just in January, so I'm relatively new faculty, but part of the one of the big projects that I do is I oversee the fellow projects, which you're going to learn more about today. But I'm also teaching, so you'll see me in the plenary, giving lectures, and I'll also be a seminar leader this time. So about 12 of you will be in my seminar. So we will get to know each other over in the coming weeks. And I, as you will also learn, am very excited about fellow projects, because I think they're just an excellent opportunity to develop something that is, an opportunity for you to, advance your career, to do something really that makes a difference. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today, just to give you some ideas about what it looks like, things to think about, and then I'll open it up to your questions. So let's start with the obvious. I sent you a short video. I sent you some documents. I don't know how much you read. Maybe some of it made sense. Maybe some of it didn't. But we'll start with, what is it? A fellow project is a project carried out by the fellows. It is something that you are going to think about before you come, but you're going to spend a lot of your time while you're here at the course developing that. And you are going to make the plan while you are here, as much as you can. And then when you go home, you are going to implement the project to the best of your abilities. We'll talk about what that looks like shortly. So what does that look like? How do you think about what a project is? I did send you a video of the participants from the previous course that were here just a couple of months ago, where they all said what their projects were. If you haven't watched that, please go back and watch that from my earlier emails, just so you see what people are doing. I gave examples from several different countries so you can get an idea, because there's such a wide range of the topics that people choose to do, because you're coming from different backgrounds with different responsibilities. So how do you decide? You look at where you are situated. Where are you working? What country are you in? What is the context? What are the challenges that are maybe facing your department, or at your agency, or more broadly in the country? And you decide that you want to develop a project to address it. So just this past week, somebody from the course in May finished his fellow project. He's from the Philippines Coast Guard. So for him, something that, of course, is really important is about fishermen and their rights within the Philippines EEZ, Exclusive Economic Zone. So his project was about informing fisher folk about their rights under national and international law in the West Philippine Sea. He completed that project. It was an entire plan that was implemented. That was something that to him was important. So you look at what is something that is important based upon where you're at, and you decide what that project is. Okay, there's a lot of leniency of how you want to develop that project. Okay, so this is the point at where we're at right now. What happens before coming here? I sent you an email 2 weeks ago. I hope that's when you started thinking about your project. If you haven't really put much thought into it yet, because you have so many other things to think about, that's okay. But after today is when you really, really need to be thinking a lot about this project. For starters, check in with your supervisor, whoever that might be. It's different for everybody who you report to. Check in with them first and make sure that they are supportive, that this is a project that actually is beneficial to where you are located. Once you have done that, once you get some feedback, the buy-in from your supervisor, decide on what your topic is. Okay, decide what your project is going to be. And then what I want you to do is when you arrive here, I want you to have your title already in mind, because shortly after you're here, we are going to select a title. And that's going to be inputted by your seminar leaders. So if you don't know, we have seminars. There's going to be 8 different seminars of about 12 people in each seminar. Your seminar leader will be the one guiding you through this process. About a week after you get here, we are going to input your title into our system that manages the fellow project. It's okay if you change the title, but I want you to still have a tentative title, okay? Like a general idea. That way you can be moving on to the next steps of the project. So I also want you to be thinking about if you had to give 2 to 3 sentences, an overview, we'll call it a project statement. What is your project about? That's something that you should also be thinking about. The project statement will be due a couple of weeks after you arrive, and that's just kind of your statement. Here's what the project is about. But the title, that will be due pretty soon after you arrive, within the first week. So then, once you get here, what happens? So I know there's different levels of familiarity with how our course is structured. It is 5 weeks. It's a combination of you go to plenary where you listen to the different lectures, and then you go to seminar to discuss what happened in those plenary sessions. But in addition to that discussion time about the different topics, you will spend about 20% of your time working on your fellow project. So this is often, although not always, in the afternoon or last part of the day, so that you can spend time working on it, talking to your seminar leader about your project, talking to your fellows, other fellows within your seminar about it. And this helps you, strengthen the quality of the project so that you can have a strong project. You will have peers within the classroom, but you'll also be speaking to other people within the course who are working on similar topics. So for example, if we have 12 people in the seminar, maybe 2 of them are working on maritime security, but there's others outside of your seminar that are, also working on maritime security. You'll have an opportunity to speak to them. Like, it's nice to bring Philippines and Malaysia and Indonesia. They're all working on maritime security. They have an opportunity to speak to one another about their common interests, their projects. But there's also, faculty who specialize in different topics that you'll have the opportunity to speak to them about it as well. So over this period of 5 weeks, you're going to have, this feedback that you get from faculty, seminar leaders, mentors, other fellows that will help you develop the final project proposal, okay? So it's not a completed project that's submitted at the end of the 5 weeks. Instead, it's a proposal, what you're going to do. And it's the last week of classes. I think it's on that Friday before commencement. You give basically a 10-minute presentation of, here's my project, my statement, my timeline, and any challenges I think I'm going to encounter. Like, it's just a very simple, straightforward presentation that you give about the project that you have proposed. Some additional things to know about is that there will be one outstanding project proposal that will be selected from each seminar, who will present their project proposals in a fellow project panel during the last week of the course. You can see a picture of that here. So the director there is in the center. You can see me over there on the left. And then we have our representatives who had outstanding fellow project proposals from each seminar. This doesn't mean that there's not more, more than the people who were there, but each seminar selected one person to present their proposal to the director. And one of them was selected and recognized at commencement for their outstanding fellow project proposal. So they get an additional award and recognition. For this group here, it's the person to the immediate left of our director, his name is Max from Fiji. And his project was about work to be done at a maritime center project in Fiji. Okay, so he was the one who was selected based upon his really outstanding fellow project. That made sense for him because he works at a maritime center. So you spend about 20% of your time while you're here working on developing your project, getting that feedback, refining it. You give your presentation, and then you go home. What happens when you go home is it can be difficult. To go back after 5 weeks, you have a lot of work waiting for you. You have family life responsibilities that you have to get back to. And so it can be really difficult to continue the project. And so we're going to stay in touch with you at set intervals, usually about 6 weeks, 6 months, and then a year after, to check in on how you are doing. Knowing that it can be difficult to complete the project once you get home, it's really important to create a project that is something executable, something that you do feel is within your capacity to complete. What I do want you to do is to feel comfortable that you can email me at any time to give me updates. The project that I was just talking about in the Philippines from Commander Asina, he was messaging me updates, Facebook posts from Philippines Coast Guard showing me his project in action. And I loved seeing that. It did not bother me whatsoever. So please send me those updates. I will also check in and then let me know how it's going, including challenges. I'll remind you of all this before you leave, but I want you to think of it from a perspective now when you're developing your project is, what is it that you can do that will make this something that is achievable once you go back home? Okay, so we'll talk about the final exciting details once you're are leaving the course. But basically, when you are finished, you will let me know you're finished with your project and give me evidence of that. What that evidence looks like varies based upon what your project is. But for those of you who do complete the project, there is this special, what we call a Laulima lanyard. You can see it over here on the right side of the screen. This is something that's only given to fellows who are complete the fellows project. So what makes it unique is the red lettering on it. All of us, when we graduate, we get this yellow lanyard, but only a very select few people end up getting this Laulima lanyard. This can set you up to a lot of new opportunities, whether that's returning here to be a seminar leader, returning here to talk about your fellow project. Some countries have even special recognition within their own departments if you have that lanyard. So there's a lot of opportunities, as well as the embassy. We send your certificate of completion there, and you get some recognition during that as well once you've completed it. So what to be thinking about, and I will reiterate this once you are here, is how do you make a successful project? I call this the 3 Fs: the focus, the feasibility, and finish. So focus, first and foremost, don't try to do too much. Okay. I know we have a cohort group here from the Philippines. You all are going to do a lot. Your case is a little bit different. You have a big vision and you have a lot of people who are going to work on that. So that is a separate consideration. But for the individuals who are doing individual projects, focus probably as narrow as you can, because if you try to do too much, it's going to be very difficult to carry out the project. So if someone from India or Pakistan comes and they say, we want to, solve the Kashmir crisis and the dispute, that's probably, I mean, it's very ambitious, it's very admirable, but it's probably outside the feasibility of what can be done from a fellows project. So being as focused, something that is within your capabilities, making sure that it's something achievable. And that relates to feasibility. Is this something that you can actually do? Is this something that falls within your responsibilities at work? That's something to consider. What is the likelihood that you can actually implement this? And it's okay if we start with a very ambitious project. We all want to be doing really important things, within our job and within the world. But sometimes we have to scale it back a little bit so that it is something that we can complete, because it's better to have a finished project than not a finished project. Because you can start small and later on expand on the project. So even if you complete your fellow project at a lower, smaller project, it's still something that you can build up off of later. So make sure that it's something that you can finish. So those are the 3 F's. I will reiterate that again once you're here. You saw some videos that I shared of people who are working on fellow projects. I wanted to show you some successful ones. We have many like this, but these are 2 that I want to highlight. I'll highlight more when you're here. I know we have several Sri Lankans here, so maybe you even know Shashi, who's from Sri Lanka Air Force. Sri Lanka Air Force has been hitting it out of the park and doing some really great projects, just Sri Lanka in general. Just to give you a call out and recognition. So Sri Lanka, Shashi's project was about how to incorporate cybersecurity into the syllabi for middle grade officers. So he wanted to make sure that middle grade officers were getting this cybersecurity education in their syllabus when they were getting their training, because he noticed the gap. Hey, we're talking about all of these other things at our college, but we're not talking enough about cybersecurity. And more recently, there was somebody who also incorporated space security into the syllabus of their staff college. So those are 2 examples. Mongolia. Mongolia has done some really excellent projects. This is Colonel Mindy. And he actually developed the DKI APCSS Mongolia Security Dialogue. So this project was originated for him back in 2023 when he was a fellow, and it is something that has since then been very successful in that we have these Mongolia security dialogues in Mongolia. So this is something that's been really impactful. Based on the position that he had, he was capable of putting this event together and inviting people from the US, inviting people from Mongolia to have these important security dialogues. So something new is happening that we are in the process of developing, and you are going to be a part of that, and that is we are creating a larger mentor network. We have always had mentors who are faculty, who work here, who mentor you throughout the process. But what we're working on expanding is creating a network of people who have an expertise either in your topic, or there's someone more senior from your country. 2 weeks ago, we had a group of senior leaders here for our transnational security course, and a lot of them said that they want to help serve as mentors to people within their country. So what they're hoping is once they see that you're working on the fellow project, you will have this mentor from your country or from your area of expertise who is willing to help you out, to help you finish your project. So that's something you'll be hearing more about, is when we start to, connect people with mentors once they get here and once that they are finished. So there's all sorts of, you'll always have your mentor who is your seminar leader. You always have me, but I'm not a specialist in everything. Your seminar leader is not a specialist in everything. So sometimes the amount of feedback or the type of feedback we can give you is limited. So when we have this mentor network, we're able to draw from even beyond the college to help give you some feedback on your project so that you can help complete it. I just wanted to share with you the pre-course survey results that you filled out. I ended up getting even more than 71 responses, but just so you know what other topics people initially have said that they are interested in. So it didn't fit everybody, right? But a lot of interest in capacity building, maritime security, border security, cybersecurity, air and space security. So if you're one of those topics, you're going to find somebody here who's going to also be interested in that topic. So that just gives you a snapshot of the things that other course participants will be interested in as well. Okay, so that leads me to some of the questions that you have asked. And once I finish with this, I'll come to whatever additional questions you have after hearing everything so far. So this is a big one, is what are the timeframes for project completion? What about security classification? Yes, these are great questions. So the time frame is something that is individualized to you. Maybe that's not the answer that you want, but you do not have to have this completed at the end of the 5 weeks. You need a proposal completed and you complete the project. Generally, what I have seen historically is that if you do not finish the project within the 18 months of after you leave, the likelihood of completing it goes very far down. So you have the time that you need is the answer to that. Some people are already starting to complete their projects just from this previous course, like I mentioned, from the Philippines. Other people need more time. So you need to decide what your timeline is. And if you make that timeline too long, if you say my project is 5 years, will you be able to actually do it in 5 years? Or should you think of something that you could do within 1 year? That's generally my recommendation, is something that can be done within a year or less, unless you have a really good reason otherwise. But we do not have any specific, hard cutoffs that say it has to be 6 months. It has to be 1 year. There have been people who have followed up with us after 5 years and they did complete it, but those cases are not very common. Security classification. Some of you are, maybe if you're an intelligence officer, you're working on something that has a secret classification. Then when you tell me you have completed your project, I ask you, how widely can I share this? Can I share this on the website? Can I share this on social media? Can I share this only with faculty and people within APCSS? Or maybe you're okay with it being shared with alumni as well, or I'm not okay with it being shared with anybody. That is also okay. So it is up to you. What is the security classification you're working at? We will always respect that, and we would not distribute it or ask for any of things that compromises your security. So you can work at whatever is appropriate to you, and we will always check with you before we share anything. What is expected to be produced during the course? It is just a proposal. It's about 5 slides, a title slide, a project statement slide, your timeline, any issues you expect to encounter, such as, challenges you might face, and then a conclusion slide. Okay, that is what is produced during the course. It's just that proposal presentation. Will we receive funds to help us apply our projects once we get back home? Unfortunately, we do not provide funding for your projects. That doesn't mean you can't secure funding elsewhere, but we do not provide funding for your projects. If you want to do a budget, if that is useful, you can do a budget. It is not a requirement for our fellow project, though. What is the scope of the project? Again, this is something that is up to you. You determine what all you are going to cover. It can be as narrow or as wide as possible, but again, my recommendation is the narrow focus so that it is something that you can complete. So you decide based upon what position you're in. I can't give a one-size-fits-all answer to that just because everybody's in such different positions. How much time will we dedicate to the project? Will you be paired with others to work on the project? About 20% of the course is devoted to working on the fellow project, and then any outside time, of course, you want to use on it. You will be doing a peer review 2 different times during that 20%, once with people within your seminar and once with people based on similar interest outside of your seminar. Will we have to explain why we chose our topics in the first session? First session, you need to say, here's what I'm thinking will be my project. You need to have a general idea in the first session when we talk about it, which will be within the first week of you arriving here. But if you decide that that's not exactly what you want to do, yes, you can still change that by the second or third meeting. We can always make edits to your project proposal. What is the expected output? Again, this is not a one-size-fits-all answer. The expected output is based upon what your project is. For someone who is a commander in the Coast Guard, then it could be different than somebody who is teaching in the staff college. It could be a syllabus, it could be a new course, it could be an event, an activity. All of the output is going to be determined by you. And during our course, all you have to have is a presentation of your proposal, and you tell us what that output is going to be. So this is for you to decide. Is there any support to pilot the project? Again, we don't provide the funding for you to carry out the project, but we can help provide with that mentor network, as well as, somebody who might have that technical expertise outside of our own college. We will try to match you as best as possible to somebody who can help you with that. Is there a word limit? Nope, there's no word limit. You make your presentation. Don't try to think in terms of like you're producing a paper for a graduate thesis. It's not that, okay? Can we adapt our project? This is a really important question. Some people never finish their projects because they get back home and realize that maybe their supervisor changed. Maybe they moved to a different job and their responsibilities are different. The best thing to do is to let me know if that happens, and we will figure out how can we adapt your project so that you can finish it. I don't want that to have to happen, but it's preferable to finish the project than it is to abandon it. So if you have to adapt that project so that it's finishable, then yes, it's absolutely okay. But try to decide when you get here what your project is so that you can spend the entire 5 weeks working on it, because you will have a more successful project if you are focusing on that during your entire time here, rather than you get to week 4 and you decide, I don't want to do this at all, then you're not going to have as strong a project, most likely. But to answer the question, yes, you can adapt your project. Mentorship network, I talked about. You will have the faculty mentor, and many of you will also have this external mentor who is there to help you. Deadlines for the project. You have to present your project proposal at the end of the course, and then you will set your own deadline. So choose deadlines that you can meet. Nope, there is no specific format the project has to follow. That is, again, up to you. You just have to do your project proposal. We will have a template for you that you can follow. You do not have to do a feasibility study. If you want to do one, you can, but it is not required. The delivery method of the final project, so once you've actually completed it, you will just email me the evidence of whatever that is to demonstrate that you've completed your project. Some people do write papers. They want to write a white paper because that's what they do within their role. Then you send me the white paper, or you can send me, a clip showing details about the project that you helped carry out. Again, this is something based upon what you have done. You send it to me and I can help determine, say, yep, I think you're finished with your project. So you need to decide what it means to be finished while you were here. What does it mean to have a finished project? So on that, I will open it up to other questions. I think some have already started in the chat. Okay, those are just all greetings from everybody. So for everybody who joined us afterwards, thank you, welcome. Okay, I am going to start with the chat, and then if you have a question, you can just raise your hand and I will get to you. Major Ward, you have a couple of questions here. Is our concentration
correct?
Is your concentration connected to your fellow project? It does not have to be.
Okay. Yeah, I was just curious because there was the option to have the obvious I'm Major Ward, by the way. I'm out in Alaska right now, so looking forward to actually raising about 10 degrees centigrade. So looking forward to that once we get out there. Yeah, because we had the opportunity to look through all of our deterrents. I think as we've been talking about, even my intent for the proposal has been changing. But yeah, it was just curiosity for that, especially when you're talking about sitting where I am in Alaska. I have a lot of experience working with the Japanese as exchange officer, but it seems like because that's why we're hitting that. But it seems like there's a change to that. So sounds like what is the intent of those concentrations, if you don't mind me asking, as a result of that?
This concentration is just to get an increased depth of understanding of a specific topic based on your interest. It is not tied to the Fellows Project. It can be if it's a topic, if you want your project to be tied to the concentration, it can be, but it does not have to be. So if you are interested in China, or if you're interested in, is it irregular warfare, or the other one is deterrence, you go to that because you want more information to have a greater depth of knowledge on that topic. Your fellow project is whatever is best suited for you. It may or may not be related to your concentration. Number 2 is not necessarily related to fellow project, but I'll answer that anyway. And it is.
It was a very busy schedule, which is great. Glad we're having a lot of opportunity to use it much, but I think there was like the 6th or 7th. I had family that was coming. So I was like, oh, can I just spend 5 minutes grabbing some family members if they're coming through, just making sure we're not violating any respect on your end.
Nope. Just they'll give you some details about how to just keep everybody informed so we don't think you're missing, but otherwise, yeah, you can do that. And then number 3, are subjects expected to be broad in diversity? No, it is just whatever is best fit for you and your position.
Thank you very much.
Oh, there is a question about uniform requirements. Unless it says you wear your military or uniform, that's based upon you. So if it says light wear summer uniform, that's still your uniform. They will be giving you much more details about that. This is outside of my area of responsibility. So that's a good question to ask Fred, who will be in touch with you to give you details about all of it.
I can assist. I know the answer.
Dr. Okay, Malgi. Jacob. Yep, go ahead.
So I work for Fred and John and Dr. Malgi. I'm the Fellows Project Coordinator, and I work for alumni. And your first day, if you're military, they want you in maybe your summer. So one of the uniforms that they'll tell you which one it is. And if you're non-military related, you just wear something nice. We usually, you take your your photo for record. So you want to look nice, and they'll give you further instructions. But military people are going to be in one of your uniforms, because we all have so many. And then, something nice and professional for civilians is the basic answer.
Thank you so much, Jacob. Okay, other questions? You can put it in the chat or you can raise your hands. Yes, so the question is about your project proposal time limits. Generally, it's 10 minutes max, and then we'll save some time, maybe 5 minutes for Q&A. Because there will be 12 people to present, just think about how quickly that adds up. If there's 12 to 13 people presenting, 10 minutes each, it's going to be a few hours of presentation on that last day. So keep that in mind, but generally about 10 minutes. Jorge, I see your hand. Go
Yes,
ahead.
ma'am. Thank you very much. My first proposal was, I think, yes, it's a little bit wide, and I will just bring one when I arrive in Hawaii, the narrow topic that I shall propose. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, and some of you already, I asked in the survey, if you had a topic in mind, you don't have to do exactly whatever you said. That was just to give me an idea of what you all are thinking about and know who you are before you come here. So if you want to make changes based upon what you've heard today, then go for it. One other thing, I don't know how many cohort members we have here, but we do have a cohort from the Philippines who they will be working separately. When it's fellow project time, they will leave the seminar and they will go work as a group together on their project. So some of these things that I've been saying, the rules are a little bit different for the cohorts, and they'll be working specifically with Professor Jenny Watson to help develop their project. But those are all things that, once you get here, you'll know that, okay, it's fellow project time, Philippine cohort, you go to your, separate meeting location to work on your project.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, so Major Ward, your question in the chat is if you're separated into groups. The way that our seminars are separated is so that we do have as much country diversity as possible, so that you get to have people from all around the world in your seminar, not to overly concentrate one country or the other. So I'll give you an example of my seminar, which was such a great seminar this past course. I had 2 people from the Philippines, 1 person from Madagascar, 1 person from Indonesia, 1 person from Tonga, Maldives. I'm trying to think of what other countries, 2 from the US. And so it's a great mix, and most seminars are like that. So, maybe you've never met anybody from Papua New Guinea, you will meet them here, or you'll meet people from, Madagascar. Bangladesh, always here representing you. I didn't have anybody from Bangladesh in my seminar last time, but there will most likely be somebody from South Asia. We try to have that representation, at least regionally, in the seminars. Okay, other questions? It really is such an amazing course. And at the end of the 5 weeks, everybody starts to feel like family. We have the Taste of the World event where you get to try food from, all over the world. Yeah, you'll just get to meet people from all over and make great connections. The Fellow Project is just one component of that. in the chat, one of the question is, does the research require a survey? It does not. It only requires a survey if that's part of what you're wanting to do, requires a survey. So again, there's a lot of discretion into the way that you develop the project. And I would say most people do not do a survey. But you can if that is something that you think is important to the type of project you're doing. Okay. Any other questions? All right, I'll take that as today answered most of the questions that you have, but you do know my email address. Please send me an email if you're, have any additional things that you think of or you didn't want to bring up today. But otherwise, yeah. Same sector allows. I'm trying to read the question in the chat. You can choose the type of topic based upon what your interests are. So if you want to work on disaster relief, you can do that. If you want to work on cybersecurity, you can do that. If you're working in both of those, I would say that's probably too much. I hope I understood your question.
Professor.
Yes.
Yep. Good morning from here, Nepal. I'm Khadgaraj Rai. Sorry for being late. I just have the query that if from the same country, if we have the same interest, like for example, the disaster, cybersecurity, or like that, whether that will be allowed or not, because from Nepal, we are going to participate, Mr. Colonel Umesh Karki and me, Khadgaraj Rai from the Ministry of Defense. So that's why I have the query on that.
Okay, I understand. I misunderstood your initial question. Yes, you can both work on similar topics. If you find it is in your interest once you're here that you even work together on the same project. Talk to me first, but that's also a possibility is if both of you want to work on the same project. Then you can also, but yes, work together so that, we're able to show a good project that came out of Nepal.
Okay.
And someone else asked, if someone else has done this before, the question is, if I happen to work on a topic or issue that has already been explored by someone previously, will I be notified by the faculty? You do not have to change your topic if somebody has done this topic before. I just don't do exactly the same project that somebody else did. And then, yeah, have some difference. Just, it's okay if it's the same topic, but don't be exactly the same. Draw inspiration from it to make slight modifications. Okay, I'm going to end the meeting there because I think you've asked some good questions, but I think for the most part, everyone's had a chance to ask. Feel free to follow up with me. I will stay on for a couple of minutes, but you're now free to leave, and I will see you here in about 2 weeks. So I'll stay for a couple of minutes if maybe you were too shy to ask the question. But otherwise, have a good, morning for you? Most of you all, morning, afternoon, evening, and we'll see you soon. So bye. Aloha.